Let's do this. So, I mean, we talk about upcoming games all the time, right? I've done the retail, I've done the crowdfunding, but what am I actually enticed and super interested in getting, right? Of those games that you've backed, of those games that are like coming your way in the nebulous other regions of the world in development, what is actually exciting you that you're still going to get? And not just, you know, out there of everything, right? Of the games that are going to be coming to you by the end of the year. Now that puts a little bit different time frame on it, doesn't it? Because we all wonder what's going to be coming out there, what's going to actually make it, what does the production, what does the timing shipping look like? And we've all know the delays that come with crowdfunding. And these are the ones, though, that I think are going to be here by the end of the year so that I can hopefully talk about them still this year to some extent. Let's do this. You know the YouTube. Do this. Let's go. You know me, I'm going to start 1 to 10 this time, again, just like the other video, because I want to tell you what I'm most excited about, right? That's what you want to know about right at the beginning of these videos. And that's just what's the most fun to talk about. And I thought the easiest way would just be to pull up the crowdfunding page to let you see hands-on what we're talking about. And number one is Fall of the Mountain King. That may surprise a couple people in the comment section as well. And that's because I got a little play of it online, a little taste, a little aperitif, if you will, before it even crowdfunded. And I said, wow, this is going to be a really good game. People are really going to like this. Like, I'm not a very good judge of a lot of things, but what I am a good judge of saying people are going to like this game. People are going to be very interested in this game. This is going to be incredibly solid. And that's what this was, period. And they had deluxeifications and they had exclusives, extra content. And so that's what made the value combination so good from Burnt Island Games. This is completely different than in the Fall of the Mountain King, and that's why I also like it. And someone who never played that, this has area control, but it has enough other tableau upgrading ability, you know, situational awareness that it reminds me a little bit, I'm going to make a stretch here, of Spirit Island, in the sense that this is not cooperative, but competitive, because you're managing all of these different areas at the same time and trying to utilize your strengths to the best of your abilities, because you're basically trying to get your guys killed off in the best way possible at the end of each round, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, just like Spirit Island, and how it's kind of counterintuitive how you're playing until you've played it a few times and you know what you're doing. Guys, we don't really want to smash out everything. We just want to control these areas enough so that we can survive until we can crescendo our abilities and our powers enough to win. And that crescendo is what this game reminds me of. So it's supposed to be here in a couple months. There's been a couple early reviews out from early pre-production copies, and it's just going to be something that's going to be really cool. But I think it's going to be, and this is probably the biggest disclaimer, better at higher player counts. 3, 4, 5. I think it goes up to 5. 3, 4, 5 is what I'm going to say to make this video seem accurate without me interrupting things too much. So that's why it's number one. I think this has potentially also one of the highest ceilings on this video across the board. But the other criteria that I'm including here, and this will become apparent why something is not higher up on this list in a minute, of accessibility and how easy is it going to be to play. And that's why this is number one in combination. Number two is going to be along the same lines, and this is Power Plants from Kids Table Board Games. It's just asymmetry, variable powers with big power versus multiple little powers. And I love the dynamic of the tactical nature that is offered when you're given that in a gameplay. And again, just like with Fall of the Mountain King, additional content, deluxeification, and a little bit of exclusive in terms of getting it. Making spells, ingredients coming from a garden, trying to create bigger plants. And it probably has the it factor of being able to play something. I'm gonna again make a comparison that's gonna be quite far out there, but follow me along for just a second if you're new to my channel. Cascadia, right? Because it's giving you multiple options, multiple varied ways of playing, and not pigeonholing you in each and every time without needing a vast amount. But it's also giving you the vast amount because you can see here the 8 different tiles that you're going to be starting with, and the stretch goals are actually adding a few more mini expansions, just like Fall of the Mountain King did. 10th tile winners, right? So that is why it's going to have everything and more that you're ever going to need. The accessibility is going to be much easier than several things of this heavier nature, but it's not going to lose the dynamic replayability and the asymmetry that kind of comes with it. And so it's relatively simple, right? Place it down, make a choice to either use the strong power or everything else is around its weak power. Rinse and repeat while area controlling at the same time. Boom, there you go. That's why I'm excited by this. That's why it's number 2. Now, number 3, that's why it's number 3, right? Frost freaking Haven. It's number 3. It's number 3 because it's Frosthaven. It's Gloomhaven on ice. And it's going to be harder to get to the table. Now, they've incorporated some of the accessibility and the quality of life measures that we saw with Jaws of the Lion, but is it going to be enough to actually make it that much more like Jaws of the Lion? Or is it still really going to be Gloomhaven in a Jaws of the Lion shell? If you get what I'm saying there with that analogy. That's really the question. And we're supposed to have it by the end of the year. And people are going to be regretting not getting this. I mean, just like with Gloomhaven, you're going to be able to sell this for 150% right now. I've seen people begging copies and trying to buy other people's copies if they can already right now. Because the price point, this is what I said during the campaign, it's not going to be $100. They've already said with the various updates since they've gotten closer and closer and closer that this is going to be at least like $150. This is not going to be discounted to the extent Gloomhaven was in the same percentage. And maybe it is. I mean, you know, if you were like me and you got the standee version for like $60 the first time around and now it sells for like 90 at retail, well, yeah, I mean, 150%. But that's potentially what you're looking at with all this extra stuff. So, I mean, what else do I need to say, right? The number 1 game on Board Game Geek is getting its 2.0 version. It's 2.0 version. And, you know, again, I talked about 2.0 versions on one of the other videos and how I have mixed feelings about them. Tainted Grail, Kingdom Rush, all of those sorts of things. Does it replace the original? Do you, or can you avoid the original if you're just getting this one? That's going to be the big question. And overwhelmingly, I think the feeling without anyone having a clue about the actual gameplay is going to be yes. Except for maybe price point. Because, you know, Jaws of the Lion for $30, $25 if you're buying it from someone else that didn't like it because they didn't know what they were buying into in the first place. Okay, $25. Okay, yeah, probably still Jaws of the Lion, but this as second runner-up. Second best, not second runner-up. That would imply third. So, anyway. Liegeisms. You live with them, you die with them. Anyway, number 4, we're going with Ares Expedition. This is a review copy I got from Stronghold Games sitting behind me right here. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I don't really like Terraforming Mars, but you know, it'll be nice on maybe if I don't like it on the trade pile. Well, it's number 4 on my most anticipated list of things I backed because I liked it that much. I went in and got all 3 expansions on crowdfunding. Now, if you're like me and you said, I don't really need extra deluxeifications, you didn't get any of the deluxeifications, like all the extra little mini cubes and sleeves and all that fun stuff, but $49, I made the argument during the crowdfunding campaign that this is going to be worth it because of the little extra content, because even if you add in shipping, they're potentially looking at marketing this, I think, at least based on what they, you know, kind of have given us, which is very little, that they're going to sell them separately. And if you sell them all separately for $15, it's going to be pretty equivocal, especially if you add in the price of the promos that have gone on the secondary market in these sorts of situations afterwards. So it's adding more. It's just adding more of a cool thing. A fully co-op version I can play with my wife so that I don't have to worry about, you know, going head to head all the time because she beats me. She'll beat me in this game. I've played this game a couple times. I've lost every time. More stuff without adding a whole lot more overhead. I love the idea of that as well because, you know, just 1 or 2 extra things, sort of like with Isle of Skye, right? In the sense of expansions, not the actual gameplay, but Isle of Skye, like where you just add 1 or 2 things and it just makes a game a notch up. It takes it from a, wow, this is a classic to, wow, this is really, really good, like top 20 games of all time sort of thing-ish. Not that I'm saying that I've ever put out a top game list, but maybe by the end of the year I'll do that. I don't know, but this is, again, just something that's going to be great because it's not going to change the accessibility of this in the first place, but it's going to give me more to work with at the same time. And that's what you want out of an expansion. That's not what you want out of like expansion when you're talking about Isle of Skye, the first one. You want the second one. So now are all 3 of these expansions going to be probably as appealing? No, they probably all aren't going to be as appealing. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 that you're going to favor, but that's the price I'm willing to pay at this point. I'm willing. Are you? Okay, number 4. Number 5. Number 5. You know, this one, it is really irked me at the same time, right? Because they're basically like waiting, or they basically waited a long time to like produce all of these 4 games together, but yet they ran a crowdfunding campaign for these 2 and then waited a long time for the next 2. And we're now starting to just get some of these. Now, I think Europe is getting theirs delivered right now. But yeah, I went in for the Steffenfeld. Now, I went in for it. And you're going to look at me and you go, Liege, this is not your game, man. It is, though. It's, you know, I've always had my eyes on Bruges. I have always had my eyes on Bruges as the one Steffenfeld game that really appealed to me. And I almost pulled the trigger a couple times, and then they announced that they were going to do this. And I said, okay, I'm in. Because you can't buy Bruges with the expansions for this price at a deluxeified level. Now, I got the deluxeified level because the retail classic level is not worth it. So it cost me $100. But I wasn't one of those people. And if you were, I hear you. I don't need my game numbered and paying extra. And I didn't need all 4 of them. So, you know, Amsterdam was really the only other one that I was really even interested in. I'm okay with getting the non-deluxe version of that one. So I think this is going to be really good. I think this is going to be really, really good, and people are really going to like it. And now you're always going to have your divided, you know, opinions. You know, when you make something refreshed and renewed, you know, I'm looking at Libertalia, you know, right behind me down to my right here below my seat. But there's a reason it's being done again, and there's a reason why you're doing this. You're not doing this just to do it. You're doing it because you're trying to make something better. You're ironing out some of those minor minutia that people criticize, but you're always going to have people that are going to want the first edition. You're going to have plenty of people that prefer the second edition. I banked on this one. I'm excited because I really like games like Concordia and Hansa Teutonica as my sort of Euro-esque style of game that I enjoy. Now, again, I'm not saying I'm good at them. Those two things are completely different. Completely different. I suck at Hansa Teutonica, but doesn't mean I don't have fun playing them. And that's how I'm looking at this. So, yeah. Did I pay a little extra? Did I pay probably more than I should have? Yeah, probably. Do I care at this point? Not really. Just get me the freaking game, Queen. That's more of the irritation about how delayed and how, you know, put off that this should have been to us a long time ago. This was funded over 2 years ago. Funded over 2 years ago. They ran a whole nother campaign for 3 and 4 and are basically trying to ship them all sort of at a reduced price together because they really didn't plan it out. And, you know, pandemic. This was actually running during the pandemic, so it's not like, you know, it was completely before either. Anyway, that side rant over there. Side rant over. Number 6. We're going to go number 6. We're going to go through the rest of these kind of quicker because they're just quicker games. Battlecrest. This was my first foray into Button Shy, 1 to 4 player skirmish game, one-on-one as well, with asymmetric powers and abilities. You know me. I talk about these games. I love these style of games. Your Exceeds, your Yomis, your Token Terrors, Evian, which I just covered last week or 2 weeks ago. And so this is right up my fancy. You know, I have literally just put Summoner Wars, the next 2 expansions for Summoner Wars, in my shopping cart, deciding whether or not I want to buy them at retail over on Card House right now. This is the thing I love. And again, at the price I can afford. I think I got the 2 expansions. This right here is going to cost me less than the 2 Summoner Wars expansions. There you go, right? That's not a bad deal. And this is the thing that is a little bit easier to play. Like, I like Evian. I love Exceed. I have Soccer Arms sitting in the wings. But if I'm looking to play something pick up and quick with my wife in that sense, Evian, a lot of reading, a lot of upkeep. Exceed, even more. Soccer Arms, yes. This, not nearly as much. And that is the appeal, folks. $25? Boom. Color Me, no longer a Button Shy version. There you go. I said it. There you go. I said it. I can't take it back. I went there. You hear me talk about these games on crowdfunding all the time as number 7 here. This is Raigo Tensho, in case you can't read it. I'll highlight it there so you can see. I don't know. Set collection, tower building, take that. Variable spells that you're casting. I don't know. I went for it. Was it too expensive? Probably. But you hear me talk about these Japanese games, right? And I think there's probably a few people, you know, in the comment sections and the subscribers that go, he just talks these up. He doesn't actually back them. No, I went for it. I went for it. Shipping is going to cost me more than the game in this one. This is going to be the complete opposite of everything else in this list. Shipping is more than the cost of the game coming over to the US, but there's nothing else like it. I risk it occasionally, a couple times a year on these Japanese games. And you know what? I say, you know what? If it's lost out on money, I have plenty of other stuff retail wise and, you know, anything else crowdfunding. I guarantee you that you have stuff that's going to fall under that line too. So how does this differ? It doesn't. But if it's a hit, you're not going to be able to get it elsewhere, and that's why I like this. I don't even know how to play it yet. They don't have a full English rulebook out yet, and it's post-campaign. You know what? I risked it. And you know what? High ceiling, also kind of a lower basement than a lot of the games on this list, but we'll see. My biggest concern is that these tiles have only little numbers, and I think they're going to have the words down here. It's not like you actually have what it does yet. So you have to remember, and that's probably going to be the biggest barrier to playing it because there's a lot of stuff there to know. All of these little tokens. I mean, these are all the expansion ones, right? Not even including the ones in the base game itself. So I went there. Number 7, that's all I'm going to say. Number 8, we're going to have a theme here in case you're looking at it here with the next couple games. Sum 8, strategy game, abstract, adding up the pieces and the numbers on them as you put them together. Did I go for the cheap version? You bet I didn't. Haha, you thought I was going to say did there, didn't you? I went for the wooden one. I just said, you know what? I think this is going to be a great abstract game. I think it's another game in the lines of things that my wife and I are going to want to play. And I went for the way too expensive wooden version, the collector's edition over the plastic version, even though you could buy more than 2 of the plastic versions and still have money left over compared to the wooden version. But I wanted the aesthetic of the wood. I wanted the feel of it, you know, sort of like Bullet with the wooden discs. This is one where I said the luxifications I'm going to spend the extra on. Maybe I'm going to get burned. Maybe I'll hate the game, but I don't think so. And we'll see where it goes. So again, I'm going to have this one before the end of the year, and we'll see how it ranks in the other abstract games that I love as an abstract lover. Speaking of abstracts I loved, but abstract games that may have replaced things that I tried to love, if you know where I'm going, Ragnarok's. This is Grey Fox. This was slightly irritating because I ended up paying actually more. I ended up having a pledge down here. I ended up getting the Ragnarok's Kickstarter edition, and I had to pay like $3 or $5 more because somehow they lost my pledge. Like, I went into the pledge manager and like there was no credit for it. And so I had to email them, and like finally I got access, and then I had to pay like this slightly upgraded price version difference. So anyway, this is the game that I thought hopefully Santorini was going to be for me, but my wife hates Santorini. I like Santorini. The expansion is still shit. Ooh, that was close. The expansion is still sitting in shrink. See, that's how I almost messed it up there. Sitting in shrink on the shelf because she really does not like it. So this is what I thought Santorini was going to bring me. With Grey Fox, with this, there's a lot of exclusives. I think the whole expansion is exclusive from that aspect. Yeah, and this version, this upgraded crystal version, which again, I could do without, to be frank with you, but I think some of the actual gameplay content is exclusive. So that's why, yeah, see these guys. I went for it because look at this. This is a lot of exclusive stuff. Now, are you ever going to play with them all just like with Santorini? No, unless this is like a game you play multiple times a week or 4 or 5 times in a setting. But it's more unique than Santorini. It's just more aesthetically appealing to me as well. The Norse has always been slightly more than the Greek pantheon for me. And it's just kind of cool. Separate your opponent's Vikings, control the most area. That's it. That's it. Instead of up, you're going out compared to Santorini. And that's why I think it's going to be a better fit, because the spatial, I don't do spatial that well. My wife always beats me, but she just doesn't like Santorini in the first place. So that's why. Now, I don't think I got the promo pack here, but I did get the expansion. That's what I was talking about. This expansion too is Kickstarter exclusive. So I believe I got both of those. So there you go. That's number 9. So that's our little abstract run. And last but not least, Keep the Heroes Out. Cooperative dungeon defense game. You are, antithesis of what you normally expect in a dungeon crawl. You're the monsters. You're keeping the heroes out, right? Hence the name of the game, Chris. Duh. And there's really cool little meeples that are going along with it. Variable setup, variable modular board. Choose your different villains or monsters that you want, and you have plenty of choices here, including a little Cthulhu expansion. Your deck building along the same lines with some tower defense, and there aren't many good tower defense games, let's be clear, on the market. There really aren't. So it clicked all of those things. Modular, cooperative, meeples, deck building. Yeah, I went for it. So this one is also going to be coming sometime in the next, I think, month or two. I think they're in the process of getting the shipping right now. So it's just kind of cool. Now, did I get all of the other stuff? I don't really know if I got all the extras. I don't really remember. I'm one of those people that I back and then I kind of forget, and then I do the pledge manager and just kind of forget. And when it shows up, it shows up. So that's why this list was actually a little harder for me to put together, because I actually had to look at the dates, because normally I don't. Anyway, that's it. That's the whole thing. This is going to be something different. Is it going to be heavy enough? I mean, this is not going to be a heavy game, folks. If you're looking for something heavy, this is not it. But if you're looking for something lighter, a bridge or a filler with those elements, boom, number 10. There you go. Well, it's good. I'm almost done with this video because I feel like I'm losing my voice because I've been doing video too long this afternoon. So anyway, that's all I got. That's all I got. What are on your list? Where are they on your list? Are any of yours similar to mine? I mean, I'm guessing with those first couple, there's going to be a little bit of overlap. Type 5 in the comment section if you make it this far in the video. I like doing this now. But, you know, what else is out there? Because there were more that I could have put out that I'm anticipating, right? But there's not more that I'm thinking are also going to come necessarily before the end of the year. And that, folks, is the difference. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. Have a great day. See you around.